South Africa has 70% of the world's reserves for manganese, but many of the operators within that sector have actually abandoned the smeltering and smelter sector as well, where steel is made. Manganese is a huge input when it comes to steel and other products. While others are moving out, many companies are going in head first, and one of them is Menar. I'm joined by the MD Vuslat Bayoglu to tell us why, Vuslat, you would invest 1.8 billion rand in a business that obviously a company like Glencore has decided to let go of, but it's a business where you've seen opportunity, obviously.
Xolani, thank you. Obviously, the biggest thing is like we have ore in the country. Like you said earlier, we got the largest deposits of manganese in the world, and we got good quality deposits, open cast mines. We are producing about 20 million tons a year and exporting the product out of Saldanha or PE. So we've got access to manganese. Then the other thing is like this asset, Metalloys, formerly called, it's currently called Khwelamet, we changed the name. It was established by Samancor, which is an Anglo-American South 32 JV, and they decided to put it in care and maintenance in 2020 because of the markets, because of not having uninterrupted power, also price of power made them put the place in care and maintenance. But they kept the place in a pristine condition. So they were the largest ferromanganese producer in the world, and we have to actually reindustrialize. And I'm hoping that this is going to be one of the good examples in the country, so that we can show, like, yes, while ArcelorMittal is cutting the long steel production, while the ferrochrome industry is going through some challenging times because of the same problems, we are thinking that we can get in and we can revive this place to set a good example for reindustrialization. But obviously, this is going to be a business that's going to make money. That's the whole idea. So we are negotiating with Eskom. We are thinking that Eskom is going to come to the party, and they showed interest, and also Transnet Freight Rail helping us to bring the ore from Northern Cape to Meyerton, so that we can get cheap, we can get the costs under control, so that we can have a competitive price. But this is a big problem. South Africa exported a lot of jobs to China because of losing beneficiation capacity in ferrochrome and in ferromanganese. We have to be competitive, and to be competitive we need Eskom to give us cheap power, or we need government to allow companies to build power stations, most probably coal-fired power stations, so that we can get cheap power, so that we can restart all these industrial complexes and compete with Chinese production.
So obviously you must be in support of what the Minister of Minerals and Petroleum Resources, Xolani Mbanjwa, said on day one of the Mining Indaba, that if it were up to him, he would immediately start building 3 coal-fired power stations. That is something that has got a lot of people talking. Let's talk about this Mining Indaba and what you think as a mining company yourself, future-proofing African mining will require today.
So Minister Mbanjwa actually made a great speech. That's my personal view in the first day opening speech, and he alluded certain things like we go through challenges in chrome and manganese industries, because chrome and manganese are the critical ingredients for steel, and it's mainly consumed by China, because China produces 60% of the steel in the world. Without manganese and chrome, they can't make steel and stainless steel. So we have to leverage this capacity, where we are the largest chrome producer, and we got the largest chrome deposits in the world, and the same applies to manganese. By the way, the same applies to PGMs. So these are like critical minerals in many applications. And also we got another critical mineral, which is coal. Like Minister Mbanjwa said, it's critical for our economy, because without coal we can't generate power, and we can't. Then the load shedding is going to be back if we don't burn coal in an efficient manner. So for future proofing of South African mining industry, we need to have government intervening and making certain steps. One is we need uninterrupted power supply. And we need to see the plan, what Eskom is planning to do for the future, especially when by 2030, if they retire coal-fired power stations. Are we going to burn gas? Where is that gas going to come from? Are we going to build nuclear power stations? Who is interested in building nuclear capacity? All these things need to be addressed. We need a very strong Transnet. And for that, actually, they are doing these reforms. This third-party access is critical, but obviously, for future-proofing of the South African mining industry, Transnet plays a very critical role, especially for bulk commodities. And the third one is the cadastral system, so that people know that they've got the security of tenure for their prospecting rights or for their mining rights. I think government needs to kind of finalize, or Department of Mineral Resources should finalize that thing so that we see that cadastral system is working. And the last one that I want to mention is we need to deal with uncertainties. We can't carry on with uncertainties, and we need to make decisions and we need to move on. And that's what we need from the government, because obviously we can't do it on behalf of them. They need to do it on behalf of us as industry to prosper and then to future-proof.
Lastly, the President is making his first State of the Nation address under the Government of National Unity. As an investor and a businessman, what would you like to hear coming from the State of the Nation address by the President?
I think it will be critical to hear from President about the action plan, or not action plan, actually actions, because we've been talking for a long time how the problems need to be solved and all those things. We got a great example, which is Eskom. Eskom did well because we had 300 days without any load shedding, and we were talking about the collapse of the whole grid before. So that's a great success story. So how can we do the same thing at Transnet? We want to see that, because these reform that they want to bring, which is not a privatization, by the way. This is just allowing access to the tracks so that private companies can also move their products if they want to. And Transnet is underutilizing the track, because we've got massive length of track, rail track available, and Transnet is going to allow now logistics companies or cargo owners to move their own product. But then Transnet will carry on moving coal, moving manganese, moving iron ore, moving magnetite. So if that happens, and when that happens, then our industry, our mining industry is going to prosper. And then one last thing, actually, I mean, obviously there's a lot of pressure on the government regarding many matters, but one thing that we have to give them the credit: nobody's land is grabbed in this country, nobody's property is grabbed in this country. We've got rule of law, we've got freedom of speech, and we've got democracy in this country, and we are feeling very safe as investors, because we're not thinking that government has got plans to expropriate land without compensation.
Vuslat, thank you very much for your time. Vuslat sharing his thoughts on what he, as an investor in the mining sector, would like to hear coming out of the State of the Nation address tomorrow, in order to live up to the theme of future-proofing African mining today. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Xolani Mbanjwa in Cape Town.